grand existence, citizens of the universe, cosmopolitans, truth seekers, lovers of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Thank you for coming back. It's good to be here. It's good to have you here. It's good to be alive in reality and existing. My name is JD. This is JD's Pharmacopoeia. This is where Nicholas Jensen Denton. This is where Nicholas JD talks about the things I got to talk about. And today, we're going to bounce right into it. We're going to put me down. I'm not important. We're here. We're there. JD'sPharmacopoeia.com if you haven't checked it out. It is a wealth of information. There's a pharmacopoeia that's filled with plant medicine. There's water resources here, which you can inquire about. There's a library full of wisdom. There's an about that's not really important. We're going to look today at one particular plant medicine which has been of significant... Oh, God, this picture's ridiculous. That's been of significant interest to me for many years. That is, it doesn't matter how many years, many annus, hundreds, potentially maybe thousands of days. What is that? Herb, plant, flora, organism, creature. It is Heimia Salicfolia, otherwise known as the sun opener, sometimes referred to as the herb of St. Francis, also traditionally referred to as Salicfolia. Why does it have all these names? I can't tell you the traditional reasoning for Salicfolia, but I am interested in its etymology, considering the fact that it has both sin and key in it. Anything having to do with sinning and key has me very interested. However, that's not really neither here nor there, though maybe it is, and it is imbued with knowledge from the peoples of the indigenous usage, because we are going to get into what these indigenous peoples use this herb for and why there seems to be some sort of mystery that surrounds the use of this plant medicine. Let's see if I have the picture here. Here's the picture. Here's what we want to see. Made myself big for no reason. There it is. That is our God. That is the origin of this mystery. Oh gosh, his name. It is a foreign name that I cannot recall for you. I'll get there. We'll see it, but it's gonna be hard to make out. But down here you can see there is, in fact, I think it's on the sides. It's around his knees and his legs, and on the side of this statue here, we have inscriptions. We have the psilocybin mushroom. We have the not the baby wood rose. We have, maybe it is the morning glory. The morning glory. Oh, we always get the Hawaiian baby wood rose and the morning glory confused because they have the same active constituents, LSA, an analog like that of LSD, and it also contains our mysterious Salicfolia. And we're going to get into it, but basically the traditional people have been using this herb. They've been using it, they've been preparing it in a way that has not been scientifically studied. It has not been analyzed with chemical techniques that can elucidate the structure and the shape and the form of this mystery, this mysterious substance which we know is psychoactive. We know it affects the mind, it affects the vision, it affects the ears. We know that it smells like unlike anything you've ever smelled before. It smells like sunshine. It smells like dawn. No. It smells like dusk. It smells like dusk. Deep, rich, floral, yellow. How does something smell yellow? Well, if you eat the psilocybin and you consume the Heimia Salicfolia, you're going to hear color. You're going to see sound, baby. We're going to see. We're going to hear. We're going to understand what this really does. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't actually. That's what this is all about. What is happening with Heimia Salicfolia, the sun opener. Now, I'm here to tell you, let me just tell you everything I know, because what we're going to do is I'm going to break down all the literature which has been produced in the scientific culture that explains what they think is going on with this. And you're going to see from this that the science is contradictory. Science is, in many senses, bullshit, and that's because it's founded on fallible theories about the nature of reality, such as materialism and determinism and atomism. And I'm a chemist, and I'm here to tell you that chemicals aren't real. And our fellow chemists out there are going to lose their minds when they hear me say that. Why is that? I'm sorry, y'all, but you need to understand your progenitors and where you came from and the source of knowledge itself. And the source of wisdom. Epistemology. You need the philology. You need to understand what a theory is, how it develops, grows, and evolves into a creature, because that's exactly what we have, is an egregor. Something that was created from the mind of man, which has developed its own autonomy and free will, its own growth and development. It spawned new creations, and it merged with other things, and its DNA manipulated, and it's something completely different. What does this mean? It's a xenobiotic. It is alien to nature, but created from the things found in nature. Xenobiologicals, not found in nature. Naturally produced. It's a concept. I know. And what you need to know about the concepts, it's all about the mentation and the consciousness and the capacity for the creation of mankind, which is a fundamental attribute of humanity, but something also that you need to know that is not entirely explanatory. And what is the hallmark of good science? It is the explanatory power of a theory over a material phenomenon. Why does this happen instead of that? If your theory is not simple, if it's not elegant, if it can't be explained to a 5-year-old at bedtime, then it's probably wrong. And why do I say this? Well, I mean, every good scientist says it. You know, PhD, every good physicist that has a doctorate who studied philosophy understands this. They know that they say, I'm a doctor of physics, I'm a doctor of chemistry, I'm a doctor of pharmacology. Oh, I'm a doctor. I got my doctorate. I went to school for the half of my life. Well, they forget what PhD. They talk awful lot about the D. Kind of pause, pause, kind of sus, as the kids are saying, They forget that the PH in PhD does not stand for the power of hydrogen. It stands for philosophy. You are a philosophical doctor of a particular science, of a specialty. Now, if you don't have your philosophy, then your teachers failed you. I don't blame you. I blame your teachers, for God's sake. Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to school? Dr. Wilson, man. I love you, bro. So, what's going on with the contradictory nature of the scientific literature in the field that's supposed to inherently, methodically, robotically produce facts, but instead it produces controversy and mystery? Turn the volume down if it's too loud. My mic aux is going off the charts, and you know what? That reminds me. I do got to do a sound check. I do got to do a visual check to make sure that we are actually live. It's going to be sad because I'm actually not recording this because it's got the wrong paths of recording, but I'm going to go over yonder. We're just going to make sure we're live, ladies and gentlemen, and do a sound check. Live AF. Look, I got another subscriber in the past minute. How fulfilling to my ego. So, what are we looking at? What are we looking at? So that's because what we have is an inherently fallible system, which is, nobody's fault. Nothing's perfect. Perfection is an illusion, and we can always get better, and that's what this is about. This here beautiful little flower. You see that thing? You see that flower? That's the mystery. That's the thing that's going to tell us about God, about the Creator, about the origins of your soul, and about who and what you truly are. Where in the consciousness does all the senses come together to synchronize and tie together a picture of reality? And what happens if we poke it? What happens if we poke it with a chemical, a couple of atoms? Weird things start to happen. You start to learn about the nature of consciousness. How do you study consciousness? You have to alter it. How do you study that which you are? One must take the backward step. Okay, we're going to move forward here. So, what's going on? Heimia Salicfolia, a phytochemical and pharmacological review by Marvin Malone and Anna Rother, Department of Physiology and Pharmacology, University of the Pacific. Whoa, I actually applied there, and I don't remember, 4 or 2, 42 maybe, 4 to 2 points away on the GRE of getting in to the master's program and studying with Dr. What's-Her-Name, Murr, actually, which is funnily enough. Got the Murr here, and I turned on the fan, so there will be no fire alarm today. Dr. What's-Her-Name and I at the University of the Pacific, we're going to study the antioxidizing properties of Murr. But it fell through my fingertips because that lubricity of all things, that evanescence, and the School of Pharmacognosy at the University of Connecticut. We should check out what's going on down there. Of course, that was in 93. And, with the Department of Education being ended, God knows if it's still alive. But anyways, this picture is small. Here above we have Vertine and a Vertine, which has another moniker by the name of Cryogenine. We'll see it in here. I don't know how any of this stuff is pronounced. Cryogenine. It is an okay. There's a handful of compounds. We got the chief one that we're concerned with is Vertine, and then there's an enantiomer, lithrine, Vertine. I don't know, dude. I'm just gonna pronounce every which way, and one of these days I'm gonna hit the nail on the head. Vertine, which is a beautiful benzyl isoquinolizidine lactone alkaloid. If you don't know, talk to Chad about it. It is you see this little red, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit for you. Zoom in, Command plus. Yeah, there we go. So, there. You see that little red motif right there? That is the amino acid precursor to this alkaloid. Now, what is an alkaloid? It is a compound containing a nitrogen in a ring that is derived from an amino acid. An amino acid is the biochemical language of life itself, an essential nutrient that is metabolized by the DNA, recreated through the RNA. Amino acids are the letters of the alphabet of the language of life. There are 22, not unlike the Hebrew alphabet. Odd, I think a lucky shot in the dark by Hebrew, but whatever. And this one right here, this is a piperidine-based alkaloid. So, in theory, a skilled enough chemist could take a little bit of pepper and ultimately synthesize this here Vertine, or Lithrine, or Cryogenine, which is another name, we'll get to it. I believe there was a dual discovery that occurred that led to the advent of the dual naming system of this here compound, this here benzoisoquinolidine lactone alkaloid. So, first of all, let's just look at it. I mean, it's fascinating. We've got a lactone ring here that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 units wide. Name a larger alkaloid ring, a true alkaloid ring. A lot of you are going to say, oh, lunarine. It's not a true alkaloid. Some of you are going to say something else. Give me a true alkaloid, man. I would be so impressed. This alkaloid ring is so big and so sexy. I want to put it on my girlfriend's finger and make her my wife with it. Maybe one day we will, but I digress. What is this? Alkaloids generally have bioactivity. And what is happening in the ancient mystery of the psychotomimetic controversy of Heimia Salicfolia is a contradiction. What they're producing, I can't remember these guys' names. I'm sorry, I'm so disrespectful to the ancients, but there's some guys in South America for thousands of years that have been combining this plant, Heimia salicifolia, these flowers, in combination with the morning glory, with the psilocybin, into an aqueous brew, right? A water, a tea, and they're fermenting it for 24 hours. They're putting it into the sunlight to sit in a solar fermentation. And then they are, straining out the plant matter and consuming the brew. And they are hallucinating. They are speaking likely to this creature here. This guy. And he is giving them. What's he giving them? He's giving them all sorts of ideas, thoughts, words, visions of their ancestors. He's giving them knowledge on how to prepare other drug substances, where to find them, and how to administer them so that they might gain even more wisdom over the nature of the self. They are burning off their mortality. They are realizing the essence of the soul, which is eternal and immortal. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Most people don't understand what I'm saying. You, me, living beings, we are eternal, immortal beings. You might think, well, Nick, I was just a baby, and 10 years ago I was 10 years younger, and 10 years from now I'm going to be older. Yeah, it's not to do with your body, man. It's to do with the force of life that animates your corpse. Without your animation, your corpse remains an inanimate object. And you become nothing but a puppet, a lifeless puppet. We will be growing old, dying, and being reborn forever. That is the gift of existence. That is the grand existence that I speak on at the beginning of everything. So, the literature is fascinating. The literature is fascinating because it's contradictory and it presents a mystery which I call upon all lovers of wisdom, truth, knowledge, the seekers, the God lovers, the God fearers, to help us solve. Let us solve this riddle. Let us map out the terrain of reality. Let us comprehend the nature of ourselves. How? By taking, communing, being with these substances which have a natural magnetic affinity for the pharmacology and the intimate cellular receptors of our own neurology. Why? Why do they have that connection? Why do they have that magnetism? Not only to us, there's all sorts of things that are magnetized to the body, all sorts of things that don't even do anything noticeable. They are sub-perceptual, like purple coneflower and the echinacea. Got a little confused there. The echinacea. Oh gosh, I'm getting confused with my Greek and English. I'm not talking about the echidna or the echinaceic priesthood, but the purple coneflower is the purple coneflower. God, I hope I didn't Google anything crazy. Y'all are about to look at it. I can't even say it. Echinacea. It's the same word. What the is this snake root? Is purple coneflower commonly known as snake root? Or is that something else? Echinacea. Purpurea. Purple coneflower. Hedgehog coneflower. Let me just double check, because that would actually make a lot of sense. Oh, I don't fucking care. God damn it. God save it. God love it. Oh yeah, purple coneflower refers to the plant genus Echinacea, also known as coneflower, with snake root being a common name derived from its historical use in treating snake bites. I knew it. I knew that somewhere. I wasn't confused. I just made a connection in my brain that I hadn't never made before. Y'all, you are watching me learn in real time. Look, the echinaceic flower. It has alkaloids in it that are sub-perceptual when they bind to you, and the alchemides, right? And they enhance your white blood cell count, your immune response. They modulate things inside you that you don't notice except in the long term. You don't notice except through empirical study and close observation over years. I mean, certainly over days, but it takes a wise doctor to know, a wise witch doctor, to be able to put together the fact that if you got a cold or you got a throat sore and you take this thing and gargle it, it's going to make you feel better after a while. Who's figuring this stuff out? Where are they getting the knowledge from? Is it really just trial and error? Sometimes I wonder. There's no freaking way it's just trial and error. There's a higher intelligence at play. Oh, we love the higher intelligence. But there are things in nature, alchemides and echinaceic priesthoods aside, there are things in nature which will interact with you in a way that will show you what the real echinaceic priesthood back in the ancient past would tell you. And what will they tell you? What will they show you? They show you the mystery of life itself. That synthesis of senses, that technicolor mechanism inside of you that brings reality into a vibrant living picture. That Maya, that illusion, but it's not an illusion, it's true. If it wasn't true, then how could you experience it? All right, I'm getting diabolical on this. Let's continue. There is a controversy at hand. There is a real scientific mystery of pharmacological chemical, ethnomedical mystery, a controversy which confronts us, which we must collapse, we must sublate it, we must get to the bottom of this snake root and understand what's going on. What is going on? All right, I'm just going to read it through and give you my commentary on the side. I have recreated the original scientific text, only the important parts, because nobody's got time to read these things. Only the important parts preserved verbatim so that you can get the juicy bits. Now, here we go. Now, I'm going to do one more sound check, just to triple check. Check to make sure that we are actually live. It's going to be sad because I'm actually not going to read it through. Okay, we're good. We're going forward with it. Thank you for your patience and thank you for being with me. Here it is. Here it is. I've babbled. This should clear things up because these scientists really go through logic and reason A, B, C, D, and I am all over the place. Psychotomimetic controversy of Heimia Salicfolia, otherwise known as Salicfolia, as presented in the original scientific text with slight copy and paste errors. The content is preserved verbatim. The information is there. The format might be a little effed up, but not that bad. Bear with me. Here are the historical claims and observations like that. What is that? I don't know. Copy and paste error. I swear I didn't touch the text. Trust me. H. Salicfolia has developed a reputation in the neo-scientific and scientific literature as a psychotomimetic, otherwise known as a schizogen. A schizogen, I mean, that word alone, I think we all know what it means, but what does the AI say? It says something that we didn't expect it to say. Formed by the splitting of the common wall of the contiguous cell. Formed by the splitting of the common wall. Formed by the splitting of the common wall? That just doesn't make sense. Are we talking about dissolving boundaries? Schizogen. Pharmacological meaning. Schizogeny describes the process of cell division in malarial parasite Plasmodium. Specifically, it refers to the asexual replication. Jesus. All right, so I don't know. I think there's a conflation of terms. We're going to carry forward. It's psychotomimetic, and you know what that means? Relating to or denoting drugs which are capable of producing an effect on the mind similar to a psychotic state. Similar to the states of consciousness followed by the ingestion of LSD. Now, keep in mind, again, that this paper was written in 1993, before the psychedelic boom. Let's see. Should I read the abstract? Do you need to know? I don't really think you need to know. Kind of got ahead of myself without reading the abstract. Let's just scan through this, make sure there's nothing critical here. There are 4 chief alkaloids in the plant: vertine, lifoline, litharine, and nezidine. Structural relationships, yeah, it doesn't matter. Vertine, litharine. Okay, I mean, we kind of get the mystery teaser here. Preliminary clinical evaluation indicates that vertine and litharine given orally appear to lack the psychodysleptic activity that has been touted for native brews said to incorporate H. Salicfolia. Animal studies here have focused on the ataratic and anti-inflammatory and antispasmodic potential of vertine and on the hydrodiuretic potential of litharine and decine. All right, some great words here, some really great words. Ataratic means promoting a dream-like state. You should know this. Ataratic means tending to soothe or tranquilize and can refer to a substance as a calming effect without reducing mental clarity. Did I get my definitions mixed up? It's very possible. Ataraxy. Serene calmness. Okay, so we have ataraxy and we have psychodysleptic. I think that's the one. Brings on the dream-like mental states. Oh, that's what we want. We want the psychodysleptic, ataratic, dream-like mental hallucinogen that does not affect the sobriety of your consciousness. Okay? So the ataratic, serene calmness, psychodysleptic. So the oral administration of Vertine appears, keyword, to lack the psychodysleptic activity that has been touted by the native brews. Okay? So we're talking about Vertine. Look at Vertine. See that? This is not a salt. There's no hydrogen here, meaning it's a free base. We love our free bases. We need a free base. Where is base? Get him out of jail. Right? There is we carry on. The ataratic activity of Vertine does not appear to be dependent upon the depletion of the blockade of catecholamines. Well, its anti-inflammatory capacity is seen in both the exudative and immunological system. Seems to be dependent on part in an intact pituitary. Interesting. You had to destroy an organism's pituitary to realize that. We carry forward. The abstract's not that fun. Okay, anyways, the mystery. Again, I know, I'm all over the place. I've had 2 beers. I'm working on it. As presented, the neoscientific literature has presented and developed the reputation of Salicfolia as a psychotomimetic or schizogen. This controversial attribution appears to be traceable back to the publication by Calderon, 1896, who reviewed the plant's folk medicine usage and then noted that Sinacuiki was said to possess a curious and unique physiological action. People drinking either a decoction, which is basically a big tea, or the juice of the plant, have a pleasant drunkenness. All objects appear yellow, and the sounds of bells, human voices, or any other reach their ears as if coming from a long distance. That's a direct quote from Calderon. To test this, Calderon personally ingested a series of 250 milliliter boiling water decoctions prepared from various weights of Salicfolia leaves, but did not experience any noticeable effects. No alterations of vision or hearing were reported. He concluded that greater doses might be needed. Good conclusion, in my opinion. Calderon's comments were cited and then selected synthetic compounds structurally related to the alkaloids of Salicfolia were elaborated upon by Reiko in 1926, who apparently did not conduct any experimental or clinical studies. So he just kind of parroted what he said. Reiko indicated that the use of the decoction, quote, gives strength, energy, and joy, awakens the spirit, acuity that many psychedelics bring. Audition decreases so that ringing bells seem far away. Individuals feel as if walking on a soft carpet. They see a door open but don't hear the sound. I mean, this is a lot of details for somebody who did not make the communion with the medicine himself. You see what it says up here? He apparently did not conduct any experimental or clinical studies, but then goes on to describe all these phenomenological, experiential effects. So, bad science there, brother. There is nothing unpleasant except that objects have a yellow, blue, or purple sheen. That doesn't sound so unpleasant. Users say it is the remedy to secure happiness. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've smoked Heimia Salicfolia, and to me it seemed like a stimulant. You know, couple small, like, I don't know, half gram, 300 milligram inhalations of Salicfolia with a lighter. That's 450 degrees Fahrenheit, so pretty hot, potentially degrading the compound, perhaps degrading the lactone ring. We'll get into that. But I don't know. It didn't turn anything yellow, blue, purple. It didn't produce any ataraxy. It certainly didn't produce any psychodysleptic experiences, which is what really interested me in the drug in the first place, in the plant in the first place. And also, for God's sakes, I want secure happiness just like everybody else in the world. But it turns out you don't need drugs to do that. You just need a good woman. Cultural, and you need a good relationship with God too, and that woman got to believe in God and have a good relationship too. And it's just, oh God, we're gonna do a pharmacology of love later, but don't let me I digress. Cultural and terminological confusion. Okay, so the mystery thickens because of the inability for humans to communicate to each other, even in a field where the whole purpose of it is to communicate effectively. To write this down, you don't even have to communicate. You just have to record. You have to scribe, make a bunch of squiggles on a piece of paper so that somebody else can look at those squiggles and say, yeah, I can recreate that perfectly. And if you can't record your techniques and your methods perfectly, bad scientist. You're a bad scientist. And you deserve punishment. So Reiko, 1926, again, 1926, before the psychedelic boom, further noted that the native peoples of Mexico also extended the term Sinikiwiki, copy and paste error, to the stem and bark of Erythrina coryphoides. Help me out there, botanists. How the fuck do you pronounce that? Motensese, and to the bark of Piscadia erythrina. Oh my gosh, how confusing is that? A genus Erythrina and then a species Erythrina. Oh, Linnaeus, did you do this to us? So what this means is that there might be these two plants out here that also have similar effects as the Salicfolia, because the native peoples were obviously consuming it, using it somehow in a way that made them say, yeah, these two things are the same. However, this is just 3 sentences by Reiko, a guy who's already misleading us on the nature of this experience of the drug, because he's just speaking on what he's read before, and now he's saying, oh, the native peoples of Mexico. Like, man, it's a lot of down the grapevine kind of talking that we're getting here, and I don't trust this Reiko guy. In a later publication, Reiko, 1935, he just won't give up, clearly associated the term of Sinikiwiki with the seeds of a 4th plant, Rhynchosia praecatoriu. DC, I don't know what DC stands for. When a single common name is used for several plants, it is easy for the folk literature and scientific literature to become confused, no doubt. Reiko further sensationalized Sinikiwiki. This guy was after fame, money, glory, ego, by terming it the magical drink which causes oblivion. Okay, I mean, I like, everybody likes to be sensationalized, if we're not born into the body to be sensationalized, then why are we, okay, I could think of a lot of reasons why else we're born into the body, but, one of the cool things about being in the body is it is sensationalizing, but this is just borderline crossing the borderline. He's going over the line. He said, under its influence, users were reported to recall events prior to their birth, ancestral memories. I mean, some of this stuff I don't doubt. I mean, I do think that there is a reason for this, that This man was not completely full of shit. He had good reason. 1938, 3 years later, he published a book that discussed Salicfolia along with peyote, marijuana, ayahuasca, oe liqui. Never heard of it. Oeo liqui. We're going to just do a quick search. Morning glory. Okay. Native form of morning glory. The other plant that's found on the statue below. And we're going to get to this guy's name. I'm sorry for your disrespect, Mr. God. But I'm not a native to your culture and I forgot your name. Anyways, so morning glory, ayahuasca, marijuana, and peyote, and Salicfolia all got a book of their own, among others. This book went through 3 editions and tended to fix Salicfolia as a psychotomimetic in the minds of the scientific and neoscientific communities. Schultz, the legendary Schultes, the legendary Hoffman. Oh, God, we love you, Schultz and Hoffman. Oh, we love you. So Schultz and Hoffman must have gone back and referenced this Rico, perhaps with a little less discernment than us here, us 2020 hindsighters. And he said, well, it doesn't say what he said, but it goes further on. We'll see. We'll go forward. We'll see more Schultz and Hoffman in the near future. Diaz, 77. Specifically classified the Heimia species as a trance-inducing psychodysleptic, which is a distinctly separate pharmacological action from the visionary psychodysleptics, such as mescaline, lysergic acid, dimethylamide. These are imagery-introducing psychodysleptics. Cannabinoids, don't know about that. Smoked a lot of weed, never had visions except in deep meditation, but I have visions in deep meditations without cannabinoids. So, riddle me that, Diaz. Distinctly separate further from deliriant psychodysleptics. Shout out to the tropanes, another great class of alkaloids, and the neurotoxic dysleptics like the pyrrolizidine alkaloids. The pyrrolizidine. That definitely was a rolling R. Pyrrolizidine alkaloids. Nevertheless, an intensive search of the scientific literature has indicated no, that's another word for zero experimental and zero clinical data to support the classification of the Heimia species as either psychotomimetic or psychodysleptic. Like, what? We've got decades and decades of study and research of the most famous botanists and ethnopharmacologists in mankind, all purporting this thing is something that we have zero real proof that it actually is. That hurts my soul. That makes me ashamed to aspire to be a scientist and an ethnopharmacognosist and an ethnomedical chemist. I mean, come on. If one considers these are an analysis of reported effects, now I'm not going to go into the Volt. What is the Volt? The Volt is what's that website where everybody reports their drug experiences? The name escapes me right now. But there's a digital vault somewhere where people report all their experiences of all the different drugs. Somebody leave it in the comments. I know you guys know. If one considers the reputed symptoms of Salicfolia intoxication as reported by Calderon in 1896 and Reiko in 1926, and if one discounts the various colored vision and the ability to recall prenatal events, probably autosuggestion. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there is a lot to this. I've definitely talked to people in the past recent weeks who have taken psychodysleptics, powerful hallucinogens such as the ayahuasca, who beyond shadow of a doubt can recall the feeling and specifically the scent of the womb, of the mother's womb, of being a child in the womb. And it's not the first time I've heard that. It's not. There's the comfort and the warmth, the smell. It's something that's deep in our DNA. It's something we crave throughout our entire life, and we don't even know we crave it. It shapes the very foundation of our olfactory systems. Anyways, I doubt it's autosuggestion, but certainly it could be autosuggestion. However, let's keep our minds open, but also stay skeptical. I'm skeptical of what these guys are saying because they have not been very accurate so far. The remaining effects suggest ethanol intoxication. That I find absolutely preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. Or perhaps an interaction between ethanol, which is a GABA inhibitor, and a sedative principle. It is a polypharmaceutical drug concoction that we're talking about. We're talking about morning glory, psilocybin, and blue lotus. Or, sorry, not blue lotus. The Sinikuiki all combined together. I mean, that's insane. If you went to a modern pharmacologist today and you're like, I'm going to do all this, tell me what's going to happen, they're not going to be able to tell you shit. They're going to be like, I would never do that. That sounds like something that is uncharted territory. They're going to be scared little pussies. They're not going to be pioneering minds. And nobody will remember their names, for sure. So that's why, and they said the same thing about absinthe, that, the hallucinations that you get from absinthe, despite the herbs being used in the production of absinthe to be known deliriants and neurological inhibitors and exciters. I'm talking specifically about Thujone and Vincent van Gogh and artemisinin. And they say, oh, they're just really drunk because the alcohol is 60%. Like, brother in Christ. Brother. I'm being disingenuous right now. They're not actually brother. They're a brother in the path, but they're lost and deluded. I mean, come on. That Thujone, man, 5 ppm, it gets neurotoxic. You start deliriating. In the FDA set the limit at 10 ppm. They're like, oh yeah, 10 ppm, you're good. Put it in whatever you want. No wonder everybody out there is fucking crazy. Oh gosh. Because they've been serving people deliriating drugs on the down low. Anyways, that's another thing. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go back to jdspharmacopoeia.com/blog/Supreme Secret. No, not Supreme. I don't know. We'll circle back to it. It's the one about Thujone. Just go look. Just search Thujone in the search bar at the top. You'll find it. Anyways, there is general agreement in the literature with the statement of Schultes in 1976 that Sinikuiki is prepared from slightly wilted leaves that are crushed and soaked in water. The resulting juice is put in the sun to ferment into a slightly intoxicating drink. So where the fuck is the alcohol coming from, geniuses? I'm sorry, that's getting kind of harsh of me, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have cursed like that, but where is the alcohol intoxication coming from? It doesn't exist. You might as well say, oh, it's tropane intoxication. Where's the tropanes come from? Oh, it doesn't fucking exist. So yeah, a lot of bad science we're witnessing here. A lot of piss poor science. And, at least Schultes has got, the recipe for what they're doing. And any halfway conscious chemist is going to tell you, oh, they soaked it in water? They soaked the wilted... First of all, they're wilted leaves. What's a wilted leaf going to do? A wilted leaf is going to introduce fermentation. There's going to be fermentation. The yeasts and the bacteria that are present on the leaves of the plant, or as soon as you rip it out of the ground, first of all, the plant's going to start oxidizing in the presence of the oxygen and the lack of the production of antioxidants from the metabolites of the plant. That's going to happen. It's going to start dying. Compounds are going to start degrading because of their interaction with oxygen. Second of all, they're putting them in water. We're talking about hydrolysis reactions. What else is in the water? There's a lot, or there may not be a lot, of hydrogen in the water. The pH is going to alter the structure of these compounds. Hydrolysis is the study of the degradation or the reaction of compounds in water. Right? That's very essential for understanding how life is, the quality of life in ecosystems. You know, you study, you measure the pH to understand hydrolysis reactions in oceanic and aqueous environments, ecologies. It's a key indicator of the quality of life itself. Go to the jspharmacopoeia.com/water. And then what do? They put them in the freaking sun, man, for 24 hours to ferment. You know, are they soaking and ferment? Are they fermenting in the sun? There's a lot. They could definitely be fermenting, but if it's in the sun, man, UV chemistry produces free radicals. Oh my God, the free radicals. We're losing electrons left and right. The hydrogens are touching and pulling all over this molecule from the water, that is. And the yeasts are just going crazy. There might be yeast, there might be enzymes present on the plant that are readily transforming the metabolites into completely different compounds. All it takes is a single hydrogen to completely activate or deactivate a compound pharmacologically. All it takes is an inversion of a bond to change the drug from something completely beneficial, medicinal, and therapeutic to something completely toxic and genodestructive to fuck your kids up for generations to come. Do you understand the nuance in chemical structure and how important it is? It's like the anthropic principle of chemistry. We've got a chemotropic principle that is at play here. The smallest alteration can have a grand effect just a little bit down the line. It can change everything. It changes everything. It does. So these guys that are taking litharine and nizadine and Vertine orally and claiming, oh yeah, it has no effects. Man, since when has anybody ever swallowed a freebase and had a pharmacological effect? I mean, rarely. Sure, it's happened, but rarely. Rarely. We can't swallow freebases. That's like, you can't swallow weed whole and get high. You can't do it, dude. It's not bioavailable. It's not bioavailable. What do you guys think? Nobody's thought through this. We're thinking through it now. We're going to crush this mystery as soon as I get some willing participants to test these drugs that I've produced for you. Oh, now it says it's fortified with other alcoholic beverages before ingestion. I'd like to see the proof. Show me the proof. You know, at this point, you've said so much bullshit. The product is often, so not always, fortified with other alcoholic beverages. Show me. Show me, please, for the love of God. Show me. How alcoholic is it? Has anybody ever had an alcoholic beverage so strong that they had a psychedelic experience? Something that borderline autoratic, psychodysleptic, or psychomimetic? Has anybody ever had alcohol so much in alcohol intoxication that they had a hallucinogenic experience? I can tell you, I have binged in my past. I've had 2 beers tonight. I'm nowhere near, and I've had psychedelic experiences. Zero overlap. None. So this is unreal that these are the conclusions that these novices, these uninitiates are coming to. Raphael, come here, buddy. My cat's meowing. Come here, buddy. Come say hi to the people. Come here. He's coming. Give him time. It seems significant, that the original study of Calderon in 1896 was negative in regard to the central nervous system effects in a human after ingesting a non-alcoholic decoction equivalent of 15 grams. Yeah, we went through this. Since that time, no other human studies have been reported in the scientific literature. Anybody interested? Produce some scientific literature? But there's more. Experimental findings on alkaloids. This should be separated. This should be, oh, you can't really see it, sorry. Experimental findings on the alkaloids. There we go. The first author of this review has taken individual 310 milligram oral dosages. Now that's key here. That's actually really key. We're going to go to Vertine Vertinepedia, and Cryogenine. And we're going to look at this because it's interesting. Also, this is where I really knew that there was something going on. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. All right, we're going to come back to this. So the experimental findings on the alkaloids, the first author of this review has taken an individual 310 milligram oral doses of Vertine, Lithrine, and acetyl salicylic acid in a double-blind, placebo-controlled, in a double-blind screen that coincided with a period of chronic dental pain, inflammation associated due to a failing root canal. Yes, before you ask, this is a thing that they did in the early days where they would test drugs on themselves and then write about it. Not so much anymore, but it's still an opportunity. It can still be done. Nobody's going to stop you from taking the drugs except for yourself. That light back there wasn't doing me any favors. The 3 test compounds were triturated into uniform white powders before encapsulating and coating. This dose of Vertine can be considered to be equivalent to 56, I don't know what's going on here. 56 grams of dry aerial, 36 or 56, or 36 to 56 grams of dry aerial parts of H. Salicfolia, and the same dose of Lithrine equivalent to 470 to 564 grams. There was a 48-hour interval between treatments. A global evaluation in replicate was done before ingestion and every hour thereafter in replicate for the presence and absence of drug-induced symptoms. Holy shit, is that where it ends? Oh, dude. Oh, I think there is some missing text here, guys. Oh, man, you're going to hate me. What do we see? There's nothing. Oh, God. All right, that's okay. All right, look. The really cool thing about this website is if you go to any of my web pages and you see something like this, a picture, all you got to do is click on it, and it's going to take you straight to the original source. Bam! All right? So this is the pirated copy. It looks like I have some editing problems on my website, which is pretty typical. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to come back to that. Oh, no. Oh, I guess there was just some... Wait. What the heck? 48-hour interval, global evaluation, presence and absence of drug-induced symptomology. Yeah, so we're missing something. So let me just go over and search InSciHub presence and absent. It's in here. It's in here. Give me a second. Alkaloid content, controversy, scrolling. We're going to pick up right where we left off. Phytopharmacology, that's not what we want. We want the tests. Where are the tests that the brother did? Antispasmodic, diuretic potentials. I think we pass it. Does this search bar work? It does not work. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Here we go. The first author of this review took a 310 milligram oral dosage. Symptomology. Here we go. Vertine. Vertine. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through it. We're going to learn a lot. I've got theories, got things to present. The Vertine caused a definite decrease in respiratory rate 1 to 4 hours post-ingestion, with an apparent compensatory increase in respiratory depth. Actually, I think I remember not putting this in there for a reason, but let's go through what happened when he did the things on his own. Actually, this is a great time to go back to the wiki of Cryogenine. Cryogenine, also known as Vertine, is a biphenylquinolizidine lactone alkaloid. The compound, it says, this is the first thing it says in the Wikipedia, which has a source. We're going to check it out in a second, which is the source we were just at. It says the compound has no psychoactive properties in humans up to 310 milligrams. Okay, so I actually like this because this guy, Malone, was suggesting that there is no psychoactive properties because he took 310 milligrams and he took it orally, the free base. However, the wiki words it in a way that suggests that there might still be psychoactive properties, but we have a threshold level that we have to break through, 310 milligrams. I, Nicholas J.D. Denton, have a different hypothesis, okay? So what is that hypothesis? We have Vertine, again, a lactone ring containing alkaloid. Now, what do we know about lactone rings? We know that they're not the friendliest on the pharmacology. How do we know that? Well, we know it because we know it for a lot of reasons. However, we also have another great example. Kava kava, my friends. Kava. Kava. You bastard. Oh, I gotta put this thing together better. If anybody out there wants to help me out building a website, I could use the help. So we got Kava Kava. Little digression here so you can understand where we're coming from. We got Kava Kava, which is Piper methysticum, and it contains also psychoactive compounds, psychedelic compounds. They are hypnotic, euphoric, sedating, GABA enhancing, GABA promoting compounds, specifically kavalactones. Okay? Kavalactones are cool because they're cool for a lot of reasons. Now, here's a couple just for some eye candy. And you're just going to listen to me talk for a second. Now, what happens with the kavalactone is that they discovered in kava that methanolic extracts of kava produce a toxicity which is so great that it can put you, it can kill. It can literally kill you. If you search the scientific literature, I don't have the link ready. As you see, I'm a little bit disorganized. But the lactone rings are toxic. You do not want to be consuming these lactone rings because they don't play nice with the pharmacology. What happens in lactone-containing concoctions, such as the Kava Kava here, is that you need to deactivate, de-ring the Kava. You need to take the Kava out. You need to take the lactone ring out of the kavalactones. You need to take the lactone ring out of the kavalactone by denaturing it through fermentation, through oxidation, through perhaps a UV reaction, creating a radical altering the electronic configuration of the structure, and or you have some sort of other molecule present to cause a reaction, such as in Kava's case, it has glutathione. Glutathione is a powerful antioxidant. It's a nutritional supplement. It's an essential amino acid. It's a sulfonated amino acid analog that's produced from glutamine. And when the glutathione interacts with the kavalactone, it opens the ring structure of kavalactone, thus making it bioavailable. We might be able to get a picture of it. Somebody's been Googling rings. Well, it says it right here. There's a metabolic ring opening of kavalactones that occurs in the kidney, which they believe is responsible for the hepatotoxicity. Right? The ring opening is a proposed mechanism by which kavalactones are converted into a reactive and potentially harmful metabolite. Right? These rings, right? You see them here. When they open inside of you, it hurts. You don't want them to open up inside of you. You want to consume it already. You want to break it down and open it up while it's already inside of you. Otherwise, you're going to have a crap load of negative side effects. And I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. But we need, I believe, to open the ring structure of the Vertine, because what we didn't see in this presentation is that there are side effects. When I smoked it, it was kind of stimulating, but it definitely left me with a little bit of a headache. I'm not gonna lie. And when you read the literature of on Arrowhead, that's the website I was trying to think of earlier, where people record their drug experiences. If you read the literature of what people have been saying about smoking, ingesting the teas of the Vertine, of the Salicfolia, that it leaves you with flu-like symptoms or as long as 2 days after the fact, and it taxes the body, and it's almost not worth it, which is sad because we have got a clearly incredibly bioavailable psychoactive drug here that has great potential as a therapeutic agent through its serene-like calming and dream-like inducing effects. But if I have to pay for my dream-like serenity with flu-like reality, and I don't know if it's going to be worth it. It cannot be worth it. Right? How can we get rid of that? Look, a clear answer is we do the same thing that COVID did, that the Piper Methysticum. We need to open this ring. This 12, what do we say? 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12-membered ring here needs to be opened. We need to open that sucker up and let it free, dude. We need to let it free. Let it fly. Let it enter into your system, into your blood, through the lungs, in its I don't know, call it safe. We need to turn it into a better drug. What makes a good drug? Small dosages. Small, if any, side effects. Immediately acting. Targeted. Right? It achieves what it's supposed to achieve in a quick manner. There's a couple other things that make drugs good. If you know the list I'm thinking about, drop it in the comments. So, how do we do that? Well, there's a lot of ways. Potentially, UV reactions. Potentially, hydrolysis reactions. Potentially, hydrolysis reactions. Potentially, heat. A heat-induced reaction. You know, I smoked it, so, 450 degrees is not enough to denature that ring. I don't know what is, and you don't want to go much higher than that, especially when you're dealing with raw plant matter, because that's going to produce carcinogenic effects, which are going to have different, longer-lasting, cancerous effects down the line, which is not so desirable unless you want to suffer, not in a passionate way either. So how do we navigate this? I believe that isolating this alkaloid, subjecting it to UV treatment, exposing it to oxygen, will render us a denatured ring, perhaps a salted version, a more bioavailable version of this drug. So what I did for us was try my best to isolate it. It wasn't a perfect isolation, didn't get a crystallization. It's definitely a quote-unquote what the kids are calling a jungle juice, but we have an enriched alkaloid fraction on hand that we can test through any means. I would vaporize it at about 250 degrees Celsius and inhale it if I wasn't such a pussy, I guess. I really do think I just need to quit being a pussy and take these drugs. But You know, schizogen, I personally am cusping insanity already. If you haven't noticed, and I don't want to lose it. I've got too much to live for. That's why I'm calling on you. You beautiful citizens of the universe. Do you want to test some novel drugs that nobody has ever done before in history? I mean, they've done them, but not in this form. So they haven't done them. This is a novel extraction methodology, which I have generated from an amalgam of different extraction protocols you can read about down here. I've got 3 different protocols. You know, I followed a very simple acid-base extraction. I'm talking acetic acid, basification, partitioning with ethyl acetate to produce crude alkaloid extract that is the most fragrant, the most deliciously smelling substance I've ever created. You know, I'll send you some just to smell if you want, because it's worth it. It's worth smelling this before you die. The fragrance is so alluring. It's like the dawn, man. Fucking A. Maybe it is the dawn. That's what I want to keep saying. It's like the dusk. It's like the dusk inside of your nose. And you know, if there's any willing souls out there, if there's anybody who's seeking greatness, who wants to be remembered in the great history as the one who collapsed all this dumb science foolery into its cave of ignorance, you know, I'll provide you that opportunity for sure. I'd be honored to. It would be my great honor to be your plant medicine provider, your PMP. It'd be my honor to serve you these potentially erratic, psychodysleptic, psychomimetic, dreamlike, serenity-inducing drugs. If you like it, I'll give you an infinite supply. That's my offer to you. You know? If nobody says anything, I'll do it myself eventually, but I've got some other things to do first. They require a holistic mind. So, that being said, that's the mystery, y'all. That's the mysterion of Heimia, Salicfolia, Vertine, Cryogenine, Sinicuici, the herb of St. Francis, the sun opener, and the dilemma of JD. You know, I got it. I've tried it. I'm not sure. I just like extracting drugs for the sheer sexual thrill of it. I have an inexplicable, unexplainable desire to collect chemicals in my freezer. There's something wrong with me. I'm sick. I don't even believe in these things. I'm storing imaginary substances in my freezer. Living mysteries. Removing them from the world and just curating them. Admiring them. But I call upon you, you great sojourners of consciousness, you great explorers, you great pioneers. Let me know. That's all I got for you today, this evening. I may or may not have gotten everything out that I need to say, and clearly I need to do something with my website because I'm missing some somewhat critical information, but I just wanted to get on here and tell you what I have already. I did talk. This is cathartic for me, so thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Grand existence. Peace be with you. Wholeness, balance.